What is up guys, welcome back to another fingerstyle tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look through my arrangement of the Mandalorian theme song. So this is going to be an intermediate arrangement. For this one I'm using a partial capo. So that's a capo that's just covering the first 4 strings here. These top 2 strings are open. So for that I use a G7th Performance 2 capo. They also have a Performance 3 capo, but it's a little bit heavier so it doesn't work so well. It tends to fall off a little bit easier. So if you get one of these, I'd recommend the Performance 2 model. Your capo that you already have might work just as well. Just depends what capo you have. There are also other capos that are specially designed for covering certain strings. So you could look into them as well. Once you have that, we're going to be changing the tuning on these 2 open strings. So these 4 first strings are going to be the same, standard tuning. These ones we're just going to be taking down a little bit lower. So that way, we can play the simple chords like A minor, but then we also get these really nice bass notes. Okay, so if you're ready to give it a shot, let's get started. Okay guys, so let's talk about the tuning first. You're going to take this 6th string down from an E to a C, okay? So that's going to be quite low. It's going to go E down through a D and then to a C. So you'll need a tuner for that, or an app on your phone, wherever you use to tune your guitar. Get this string down to a C. The next string, the 5th string, that's going to go from an A just down to an A flat, or a G sharp, depending on what your tuner says. It's just going down 1/2 step, so it's not very much at all, just a little bit. Okay, so we've got those 2 strings, and then the rest are just going to be in standard tuning. Once you've got that, get your capo onto the 3rd fret, covering just these high first 4 strings. Okay, so the top 2 are going to be open. So you want to test that that's on securely. You can hit this 5th string. If you can hear that, it's hitting the capo. So you want to move it down just a little, tiny little bit until it doesn't do that. You also want to play these strings and just make sure the capo is really holding on tight there and you're not getting any buzzing noises. So that's good to go now. Okay, so let's look at the first bar. It sounds like this. Okay, so quite an easy start really. We're starting off in this A minor shape. So get into a regular A minor. We're going to hit strings 6, 4, 3. Just like that. And we've got bass notes every like quarter beat here. Okay, so we've got one bass note there and then another one coming up on the next note, which you're going to play at the same time as the 2nd string. So it's then we're just going to repeat that again, so it's and then 4, 3 again. But this time, take that finger off the 2nd string. So now you've got open 2nd string. Play that with the bass note. Okay, then we're going to wait, and we've got another bass note. Then take your fingers off there, off that shape. I'm going to do a little hammer on here. So on the 4th string, open to 3rd fret. And that's the first bar, so just take your time, practice that. Next bar. So this one gets a little bit more difficult. After you've done that hammer on to the 3rd fret, you're going to take your 2nd finger up to the next one and hit that. So that's the 3rd fret on the 4th string along with the new bass note, and the new bass note is going to be open 5th string. Then take your 1st finger that you've just now freed up and move it down here to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. So you're playing it there like that. After that, we've got another bass note, and we're going to hit that with open 1st string. Okay, then take your fingers off, and we're going to move to a D shape. So just the second and third string. So just my first finger is on the third string, second fret, and I've got my third finger here on the second string, third fret. What we're going to do here is a double pull off. So you're going to hit strings 2 and 3 together. So it sounds like that, but then you're going to do a pull off on both of those strings. As you land that, so as you come off those strings, you want to hit the next bass note, which is going to be this one. So technically it's the 5th fret, so I'll refer to it relative to the capo as if this was fretted as well. So it's technically the 5th fret, but I'll just call it the 2nd fret for simplicity. Okay? So I use my thumb for that, coming over the top. I'm going to hit that twice. So that's coming in as you do the pull off there. Okay, so that bar. Okay, so I'll put those 2 bars together and I'll play them slowly for you. So it is quite a nice, easy start. You might find it a little bit difficult, but once you get used to it, it's quite simple to play. The hardest part is kind of keeping your fingers out of the way of each other. So you want to try and let everything ring out as much as possible. See how you can still hear that note ringing out as I play the next part? And then here again, you want to hear that ringing out, so there. And then as you do the pull off, try and not hit the first string so that it can ring out together. And then it all kind of blends in nicely. It sounds really good. Okay, so that is the first 4 bars. We're going to play that twice. And then we're going to get on to the next section. Okay guys, so we're on to the second part now. This is one of my favorite parts in the whole arrangement. It sounds a bit like this. Okay, so starting from that first bar there, I'll play it slowly for you. Okay, so getting into this position first, I've just got 2 fingers held down here. My first finger is on the 5th string. That's going to be on the 1st fret relative to the capo. And then on the 4th string, I'm on the 2nd fret there with my 2nd finger. So that's just those 2 notes. And I'm using the open 6th string bass note. So starting from that bass note, we're going to hit the 4th and 5th strings 3 times. On the 3rd time there, you're going to hit the bass note at the same time. Okay, and we're going to do that twice. From there, you can take these fingers off, or rather just take this first finger off, and then add your 3rd finger underneath your 2nd finger. So that's going to end up on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And we're going to hit those 2 together. So that's 3rd and 4th together. From there, you're going to take those 2 fingers off, and you're going to hit open 3rd and 4th and 6th bass note. So it should sound like that. Then we've got a little hammer on here. So coming up to the 2nd fret relative to the capo, we're going to hit that, and then hammer on here to the 4th fret relative to the capo. So I use my 1st finger and my 4th finger there. Okay, so that bar one more time slowly for you. Next bar. Okay, so here we've got some hammer-ons and pull-offs. Gets a little bit difficult. We're going to start off with the open 5th string bass note. Then we've got this hammer-on again, so it's open 4th string to the 2nd fret, then up to the 3rd fret. Then we're coming over the top again for that bass note there that's on the 2nd fret, 6th string. Once you get that bass note, we're going to hit the open 3rd string, followed by a little pull-off pattern here, and it's going to start with your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, that one, and then we're going to pull off all the way down. So it's 3, 2, 0. And when you start it, so when you play this 3rd fret note, you want to hit the bass note as well. So we're going up, and then down again. Okay, so that'll take a little bit of practice. Play it slowly one more time. And then with the first bar as well. Okay, so going on to the next section, it's very similar, it just changes the melody a little bit. So I'll play it for you once. So we're starting off exactly the same. This is where it changes. So before we would do this, but instead we're doing this. So that's just 2 different strings here. We're going to hit strings 2 and 3 instead of 3 and 4. And they're going to be open. So that's 2, 3, and 6. And then we've got that same hammer on, 2 to 4, relative to the capo. Coming into the next bar. So slightly different hammer-ons and pull-offs here. Same bass note, open 5th string. Then we're doing a hammer-on the 3rd string, open to the 2nd fret, and then open 2nd and open 5th. Coming over the top just like before. Then we're going to do a little pull-off run here. It's going to be 2nd string, 1st fret to open, and then 3rd string, 2nd fret to open. But remember, we need to get that bass note in there as well. So the bass note comes in as you do the first pull-off. So just when you land on the open string, like that. So the timing there might be a little bit difficult. You can practice it without the bass note first, and then try and get that bass note there as well. So those 2 bars together. So they're quite similar to the first 2 bars, just a slightly different melody. I'll play it all together for you, those last 4 bars. Okay, so the next part sounds like this. So this is a little bit difficult. We're starting off in this D chord again, but instead of using these 2 fingers, I use these 2 fingers. So that's my 2nd and 4th fingers instead. That just makes it easier to go to the next chords. Okay, so starting off this bar, we're going to hit open first and 6 together, followed by second and third. Then we've got that bass note in there again. At this point, I take my 4th finger off. So then it's just 1 finger held down. So we're going to hit strings 2 and 3. From there, I move this finger up 1 string, so now that's on the 4th string, and I add another finger, my 3rd finger, just underneath it, also on the 2nd fret, but on the 3rd string. We're going to hit those 2 with the open 6 bass note. From there, take this bottom finger off and play the 3rd string again. Now it's open with the bass note, followed by the 4th string, which is still on the 2nd fret here. Okay, so that bar, it's just a little pattern that you need to kind of work into your fingers a little bit. The next bar, it's a little bit unusual. It has triplets in it, so the rhythm might be difficult to get, and the timing as well. But from this bar, so we're here, we're going to be starting off with the open 5th string, bass note. Then you want to slide that finger across, add these 2 fingers underneath it. So I've got now 3 fingers on the 3rd fret on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. And then I'm going to add my 1st finger up here. So that's on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Okay, then we're going to be following this pattern. We're going to hit strings 4 and 5, 3 and 4, 2 and 3. Okay, so after that we're going to change shape. So we'll just practice that first. So I use my thumb and my 1st finger for the first 2 strings, 4 and 5. Then I use my 2nd and 3rd fingers here on my right hand to hit the other strings. Then we're moving across to this shape. So this one, a little bit easier. I've got my 1st finger here on the 3rd string, 1st fret, and my 2nd finger here on the 4th string, 2nd fret. So I'm going to hit the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings together. So that 2nd string is open, and then 2nd and 3rd fretted here. After that, we're going to hit the first 3 strings, keeping the same shape. And then coming up to this shape. This is like a D chord, but it's shifted up 2 frets. That's literally all it is. So that should be nice and simple. The trickiest thing here is getting the right strings played. So you've got 2 at a time here, and then 3 at a time there, and 3 at a time there. That's just muscle memory. It'll just take a little bit of time to get used to. But after that, we can move on to the next section. So I'll play through it one more time for you. This collection of 6 bars. Okay guys, so we're on to the next section now. This is a kind of filler section between the main parts of the song. So it sounds like this. Okay, Okay, so that probably sounds quite similar, like the first part and the second part. That's because they are the same, there's just very slight differences with them. So we're going to be starting off with this bar. Okay, so getting into this shape, I'm actually holding a bar here, so I'm pressing down on the first 4 strings of the 2nd fret, then I'm adding my finger here for this important high note that we've got on the 1st string, 5th fret. You also get ready to use this finger to play that note on the 3rd string, 4th fret, but not quite yet. It comes in just after the start of the next bar we're going to be doing. Okay, so just after this section, you should be here. Then you're going to be hitting one more note. You're going to get into this shape in advance and hit the 4th string, which is on the 2nd fret. Then we're ready to start. So that's the first chord we're hitting. It's going to be strings 1, 3, and 6. That might be a little difficult because we're playing strings and skipping out certain strings, so we're not playing the 2nd string. So it might be quite difficult to kind of pick those particular strings if you haven't done it too much before. So after you play that, we're going to hit strings 4, then add that finger on where I said before, the 3rd string, 4th fret, and play that one. So it's quite fast though, so you need to get ready to add that finger quite quickly. After that, you can take that finger back off again, we don't need it just yet. And then we're going to be playing this pattern. So it's going to be 6, 4, 3, 4. And that's quite fast, but we can practice it slowly for now. Then 3 and 6 together. So that's. Then we're playing 4 again, followed by 3 and 6. But you want to add that finger back onto the 3rd string. And then we've got 4 again at the end of that part. Okay, so I'll play that one more time slowly for you. So this is all muscle memory. You just need to practice it slowly, build up the speed over time. Try and iron out any mistakes and make sure you're practicing it correctly. The next part sounds like this. You might think that sounds very similar because the patterns are very similar, but we've got a different bass note to start off with. It's going to be the open 5th string, and we're also changing to this one halfway through. And we've got a little hammer on at the end, but mostly it's the same. So playing that again. We're starting off with this shape now. So you've gone from here. You can slide down, and I've got 2 fingers held down here. My 2nd and 3rd fingers are on the 2nd fret, 3rd and 4th strings. So from there, I'm hitting the bass note and the 3rd string together, followed by the 4th string, 2nd string. That's going to be followed by a similar pattern that we saw before. It's going to be 5, 4, 3, 4. Then we're changing chord, and we need to bring your thumb over the top for that 2nd fret bass note. And you're going to hit that along with the 3rd string. Once you get that, we're going to be hitting strings 4 and 3 and 6 together. So most of that bar we've done now. It's going to sound like this. And then at the end we've just got a little hammer on to get into the next part. So that's going to be on the 4th string, open to 2nd fret. Okay, so from there we start to repeat, but we don't go back to this chord, because the only reason we played it like this is because we needed that high note there. We actually don't need that high note this time, so we can change, and instead of playing that note there, we can just play open 2nd, and it becomes this. So it's a lot easier to play from here. So keeping that same shape, we're going to go back to the open 6th string bass note, and we're just going to play the same kind of thing. So it's going to be 3 and 6 together, 4, 2, then 6, 4, 3, 4, 3 and 6, 4 again, 2 and 6, and then 4. And the next bar is going to be very similar to the 2nd bar that we played, so this one. The only difference is instead of doing that hammer on, we're going to do 2 harmonics here. They're going to be on the 5th fret, 2nd, and then 1st string. You might find it quite difficult to get that harmonic, especially if you're playing it here over the sound hole of the guitar. So the easier way to do it is to pull your hand back and play it around here, and you're more likely to get a louder sound out of it. So we play 1 harmonic on the 2nd string, and then the next harmonic is actually at the start of the next bar. So, or the next section. So we're going back to this section. So you notice we start with that bass note, but at the same time as playing that bass note, we also need to hit that other harmonic. And then quickly move up there and start playing that. That's how that works. It can be quite difficult, so don't worry if you can't do it. You can just go straight into the bar. It's just a little bit I added there. So if you can do it, I would recommend it, but don't worry if you can't. Okay, so that is that whole section. I'll play it one more time slowly for you. Remember and split it into those 4 sections and learn each one. So that's that entire section. It's one of those parts that it can be quite difficult when you're first learning it, because it's quite fast and there's a lot of strings and chords you need to remember. But once you get it into your hands and your muscle memory, it's not too difficult to play. We also play it at the end as well. Okay guys, so I have decided to leave this tutorial here. I've decided the next parts are a lot more advanced than the kind of intermediate first parts that we just learned, so I'm going to save them for a different video. If you do want to see the next part of this tutorial, make sure you leave a comment down below and I'll make that really quickly for you. If you did enjoy this tutorial, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.